Good evening. Welcome to Brass Tacks. My name is Zaka Jacob. We're coming to you live from the CNN News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime studio. We start off with a massive natural disaster that has struck Wayanad in northern Kerala. Massive landslides have struck various hilly parts of an area called Meppadi in Wayanad district earlier this morning. There were at least 2 instances of these massive landslides. There was a cloudburst that then led to a landslide. Over 100 people have been killed as rescue and recovery operations are underway in the wake of this national disaster. Over 150 people have been rescued so far. They've been evacuated to safer areas. Teams of the Kerala State Disaster Management Authority, the fire services, the National Disaster Response Force have all been deployed at the scene of the action. The Indian Army teams have also been deployed to try and aid the disaster response effort. 4 Army columns are engaged in the rescue and recovery operations, while 2 other columns are on standby in Thiruvananthapuram. They're ready to be airlifted at short notice. The Army has also set up a command and control center in Kozhikode, which is the nearest big city. Helicopter reconnaissance of the affected areas is being conducted to review the damage, while bridging gear and search and rescue dog teams are also at the site. 5 Kerala ministers have also been deployed to oversee the operations. The Prime Minister has spoken to the Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan and assured him all possible help from the centre. The Prime Minister has also announced a compensation of 2 lakh rupees from the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund for the families of the deceased. The injured will be given compensation of 50,000 rupees. Meanwhile, former Wayanad Member of Parliament Rahul Gandhi, also the leader of the opposition, he took up the issue in Parliament today. He, along with the Congress General Secretary Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, will be visiting Wayanad tomorrow.
Honorable Chief Minister has given instructions and is overseeing the situation, and state control room is opened. In the police headquarters it's opened.
NDRF was pre-positioned. We anticipated issues in Wayanad, so we had a pre-positioned team of NDRF. They moved in. Fire and rescue had about 10 teams available there. They have also moved in.
3 teams of NDRF are there already in Wayanad. Some are in the moving stage and they are in transit right now. So we are working hard.
All right, so over 100 people, I'm afraid, are dead, and that number is only going to increase. The Chief Minister held a press conference earlier this evening, giving out details of what exactly happened. There were multiple cloudbursts, at least 2 of them that happened. First, just above a private resort. Remember, there's been a lot of construction activity. There's been a lot of these private homes, tourist homes and resorts that have come up in Wayanad in the last 4 or 5 years. And all of that has led to the soil itself on shaky ground. We have seen, even in Kerala, even in this same area in Meppadi, just 5 years ago, another landslide. Of course, the scale of that, the degree of that, which was much lesser than what we saw overnight and what we saw today. Let's play out some reactions of the locals as well as, of course, the authorities who are involved in the search and rescue operations. This is easily the worst single instance of rain-caused natural disaster, a landslide, which has led to the deaths of more than 100 people. India has not seen something like this since perhaps the Uttarakhand floods over a decade ago.
Now, once again, tragedy has struck the people of Wayanad, and it is people were just recovering from the last year's tragedy, landslide, and a lot of people have lost their life there. And near to that place only, this time also again landslide has happened, and in some of the areas so far it happened last night, but rescue team could not reach even now. That is what we are getting reports. And at this point of time, the government of Kerala is trying its level best to reach out to people and save the people, and whatever possible from the part of the state government, they are trying to do it.
Wayanad landslide is a very shocking incident because number of people were killed 11 people were killed is a first report, but number of people may kill, and also hundreds of people are different area because they could not go to the main place. So the government of Kerala has started the early measures, and rescue operation already started. Government of India and Air Force and also NDRF team, everybody is reaching there.
Wayanad and this, particularly this area, are ecologically fragile areas. And Kerala as a whole become ecologically very sensitive place. And I don't know what is going to happen, but the government is in its mission to save people. All political parties, leaders are there only. We are also in touch with them. I hope we can rescue maximum number of people. And we all stand with Wayanad in this hour of grief. So I am also personally in constant touch with them.
All right, and I'm afraid the news is only getting more grim. The death toll has now gone up to 106, so it has officially crossed 100. Earlier this evening, the Chief Minister held a press conference where he gave out the details of the number of dead, the number of bodies that have been identified, and also the number of people who are still, I'm afraid, trapped under the debris and who need to be rescued. Neetu Regukumar, that we've seen in Kerala in the recent past, but in this particular area itself, in Meppadi, years ago, what has led to this? Of course, nature was one part of it. The cloudburst, intense amount of rain falling with span of time. By the weakening of the soil, the rampant construction activity, the burgeoning of private tourist homes, etc. Walk us through what is the latest there.
Well, the death tolls, Zaka, right from early morning when we started reporting this, it stood at 5, and we have simply saying that numbers will lie. And even at this time when we are speaking, there are another 98 people who are still missing. So the chances of the death toll still going up are high. Till evening, they were not able to reach the area where the landslide has happened. Only by evening, the rescue workers reached that area, and they have started rescuing that area. So missing in many as debris is what we are understanding. What the government and those are saying there. Witnessed one of the worst that the state has witnessed, where so many people have lost their lives in state of Kerala, but this is from just one region alone. There are many reasons for this, the inside the forest area, but still it came up to the Chooralmala, which is actually an area which is not even in the vulnerable areas, in the vulnerable list from this district. People have been living in that area for ages. That's what the Chief Minister has also said. This where these people were living, it was not in the vulnerable areas. And also from the vulnerable areas, yesterday, due to the heavy rain, many people were out of their homes, would have up if the applicant is standing. Several reasons, including heavy rains within a short span of time, which we are witnessing issues. But this is something which the state is having a huge issue right now. In a short period of time, heavy rains are receiving, and that is leading to this. Yes, the rampant construction in the Western Ghats area is also one of the reasons that is being said. We know that Kerala is ecologically sensitive. One whole line of coastline, the Ghats and the wetlands. So all these are also factors that needs to be considered.
All right, Neetu, we'll leave it at that. We'll see how this plays out. Let me also go across to my colleague Harish Upadhyay, who's now joining us from Wayanad. Harish, whereabouts are you? And when you speak to eyewitnesses, people who are engaged in the rescue and relief operations, people who saw what happened in the early morning hours today when the cloudburst happened, which led to the subsequent landslide, what was going through their minds? What did they see? And who are they blaming for what exactly happened? Yes, nature did play a role in this, no doubt about it. But what we've seen over the last many years about the rampant construction, the illegal felling of trees, surely all of this would have contributed as well.
Well, absolutely. We are coming to you straight from Chooralmala. Remember, this is one of the worst hit areas when you talk about the landslides that have happened in Wayanad. And you look at the reasons, you talk to the officials, you talk to locals here. One thing is very clear, as you rightly mentioned, the kind of rampant commercialization. When you talk about commercialization, it's right from Sultan Bateri, when you head towards Chooralmala, you will see several of these resorts that have come up. You'll see new ventures of zip lines. You will see glass bridges, several of these tourist locations that have come up, and these have come up on the slopes of several of these hills. At the same time, the number of homestays and resorts too have increased, and many are questioning if did the government look at the carrying capacity of these hills, whether they can take this kind of construction, and whether the construction that's being made here is suitable for the terrain and the soil over here. Was it looked into by the people who were investing money? All these are questions. When you look at the rescue and relief operation that's happening from morning, Zaka, it's been nearly 15 to 18 hours since that landslide, and we've been on Chooralmala Road, and you will see hundreds of ambulances. We have seen hundreds of ambulances moving. What's happening is every person who's in a way rescued, they're not even wasting time to find out if that person has pulse or not. He's being rushed to the hospital immediately. There is assistance. They have rushed in ambulances from all the nearby districts, despite the fact that places like Kozhikode themselves have taken a hit because of floods and rain-related destruction over there. We have seen all departments being pressed into service here. We've seen right from the police and the health and other officials to civil defense. We've seen all these governments here. In fact, help pouring in from Karnataka and neighboring states as well. What we do understand is that in the first few hours, it was difficult to deploy army choppers as well, aircraft choppers, Indian Air Force choppers that came in from Sulur because of the rain, because of the weather. Even now, it's been raining on and off in the evening. That is kind of hampering a rescue operation at places. There is a fear that if there is another spell of rain in the night, that would further hamper the rescue operation. We have seen tirelessly government officials, rescue officials, all of them heading towards that location, and all arrangements have been made to ensure that this rescue and search operation now continues all night. Extra forces have been brought in, resources have been moved because the government clearly suspects that there are more people trapped underneath the debris and the soil here at Chooralmala. This is a scene that you witness every 3 to 4 minutes here. People being rushed to the hospital, injured, not even wasting time to find if they are dead or alive. The government doesn't want to waste a single minute, all of them being rushed to the hospital, and people who are serious are being sent to Kalpetta as well for a higher medical facility, and the government hoping that all this will ensure that they can keep the death toll much lower than what many are fearing at this point in time.
I just want to walk our viewers also through this. The same place, Meppadi, has seen a landslide just a few years ago. Of course, the scale, the degree, the gravity of it was much lesser than what we are seeing now. In more broad and general terms about Wayanad, Sultan Bateri, that entire forested hills, in fact, if you drive all the way up into Karnataka, that is into the Coorg region, or if you were to drive up into the Nilgiri side on Tamil Nadu, there have been multiple commissions and inquiries that have been instituted in the past. The Madhav Gadgil Commission is one that comes to mind straight away. Then there was the Kasturi Rangan Commission that was also seated some years ago when the Congress was in power in the state. And all of them came to the same conclusion, that there is rampant construction, and many of this construction sometimes happens to be illegal. Bylaws have been broken, officials have been paid off, and the law was also strengthened to the extent that I remember distinctly after one of those commission's recommendations, district collectors were authorized to go ahead and seal whichever property was in violation of the building code of these hilly terrains, these hilly areas. But none of that is what you actually see when you go to Wayanad, when you go to some of these hillier parts. Walk us through, Harish, how repeatedly, despite everybody at all levels of government knowing what exactly the problem is, how was this allowed to flourish, whether it is illegal felling of trees, illegal construction that has happened, this rampant, private homestays and private resorts coming up. How was this allowed to come up in the first place? So much so it's now led to this terrible tragedy in which over 100 people are feared dead.
Well, two reasons clearly. The Madhav Gadgil committee report, even the Kasturi Rangan committee report have become a political hot potato. Nobody who comes to the government wants to implement it. There are two sides to it, there are arguments, and we've eventually seen both in Karnataka and Kerala this report in a way being put into the cold storage. We have seen political class that doesn't want to move on it irrespective of which government comes in. Just to give you an idea, I was here a few years back when the landslide happened here. We thought that was the biggest, the government would wake up, there would be changes, but unfortunately that hasn't happened. As you rightly mentioned, right from the border, you cross Gundalpet in Karnataka, come into Sultan Batheri, you will see tourist homes, you will see resorts, you will head up further towards Kalpeta, you will see on both the sides, even on hills as well, you will see these commercial establishments coming up, many of them huge as well. Many wondering if any of these agencies, here perhaps it might be the Panchayat, did they look at the kind of construction that's happening? Did they have any study that said at this particular location you can't have this kind of a gigantic construction, whether it's a zip line, whether it's somebody having a glass bridge over there, huge resorts that have come up, many of them having 4 to 5 story buildings as well there. These are questions that perhaps hasn't been answered, or rather has been ignored in the last few years, and that's the reason you've seen this kind of rampant construction. It's only gone up. The previous landslide, which we all thought was perhaps the biggest and the government would wake up, hasn't happened. We've seen the construction and the commercialization only increasing. So many would ask, when will the government really wake up and ensure that we put an end to this? Yes, the locals do want livelihood because of tourism, but should it be sustainable one? This is a question that both Karnataka, Kerala and even Tamil Nadu will have to answer, because it's the same fate that places in Coorg in Karnataka, Wayanad in Kerala or in Nilgiris in Tamil Nadu are facing over the last few years, and the scene repeats every monsoon. Perhaps it's worse this year. It was not so bad last year. It was also worse a few years back. So will we all forget this once again? Few days later is the question, even as you have the government now moving everything at its disposal to ensure that they can deal with this tragedy. But at the same time, we will have to now understand, and perhaps the opposition needs to also ensure that the government is put on the mat here, and they are forced to act on this, not just today, but in the coming months as well.
Okay, Harish Upadhyay, we'll be in touch with you as you get us more ground reports, hopefully speak to some of the victims, the lucky ones who managed to survive, and of course our thoughts and prayers with the over 100 people who I'm afraid are dead in this deadly landslides that have happened in Wayanad. Let's now shift focus.